Let's start our discussion today. So we are going to talk about a few concepts of database design. I guess you are already familiar with these concepts, but still let's revisit them to make it relevant to today's discussion. So the first thing that we want to revisit is keys, the primary keys in a database table. So there are a few conditions for a column to be a primary key in a table. So first, that all the rows have to have some value. It cannot be empty, and the value should be constant. It can never change. And the third thing is the value needs to be unique for every record. Okay, so let's look at one example, and then we'll understand what primary key is. So let me start my Apache and MySQL server. Okay, I started them. Next, let's go to localhost phpMyAdmin. Okay, so we'll try to create a database and the table, and from there we will try to see which is a favorable primary key for that table. Okay, so we have some SQL queries here. I think I shared it with you. I will share again also after today's class. Okay, so let's create this database. So basically what you're doing is we're creating a database named banking. And then inside that database, so basically this is a database for bank, a very primary kind of database. So the banks will have customers, right? The customers will have like customer ID, first name, last name, okay? And then there will be accounts, right? Accounts will have like account ID, customer ID, right? Because the account belongs to a customer, it will have a balance, right? Okay, next, we'll have another table. We'll create another table with transaction because once the customer deposits money into the account and withdraws money from the account, there'll be some kind of transaction, right? So every transaction will have a transaction ID. Obviously, the transaction happens against an account. So account ID, and there will be like two accounts because the transactions happen either suppose I transfer money from one account to another account. So there'll be like two account ID and the from account ID and the amount of the transaction and also the date of the transaction, right? So you're creating these three tables along with the banking database. So let's do this. Okay, so we have created these tables. Okay, so now let's talk about the customers table. So if you look at the customer table, you see this that the customer table has three columns: customer ID, first name, and last name. Okay, and what should be the primary key here? As we said, the primary key of a table must always have a value. The value must never change, and the value must be unique for every record. Now you can think that maybe the first name or the last name might be the primary key, but probably those are not very good primary key choices because different people may have the same first name, right? So in that case, if the existing columns don't match the criteria, also I don't know if you know this, some people may not even have a last name or first name. Actually, this is not common in US, but in many cultures they just have one word names. So basically that's you can consider it as a last name or a first name, but the other part is missing. So in spite of that, we need some kind of ID, right? So if we don't have an existing one which is unique and which is always present, in that case, we can come up with something. And that's why we are coming up with this customer ID. So we are saying this is the primary key. As you can see here, like this one shows a icon for a key, for a golden key. So this is the primary key. And when we defined this, you see, when we created the customer table, we said this customer ID is going to be the primary key. Okay, so the next thing is the customer ID. We created it, we made it auto increment. So basically every time you create a new row, the customer ID, there will be new customer ID created. So basically every row will have a different number. So that makes the customer ID unique. So that's how we are making it a primary key, right? So for every customer, there will be one ID, and there will be like next time when you add a new customer, bank gets a new customer ID will be generated by incrementing the number from the previous customer ID. Okay, so there goes the primary key. Now for the account, what would be the primary key, right? So let's say for the account, yeah, if you look at the structure, the account ID is going to be the primary key. Now let's account ID, because the account ID is going to be unique, right? One account cannot have multiple IDs. So account ID or account number, right? So obviously balance type, this doesn't make sense. Account number or account ID is going to be and the account number doesn't repeat across a bank cannot have like this same account number for two customers, right? Or two accounts. Every account number is different. So account number is obviously a like valid like primary key. Next, let's talk about the foreign key. The foreign key is a primary key value from table A stored in the related table B. Okay, so here is the thing. As you can see in the account table, we have another column, customer ID. So the customer ID, because every account belongs to one customer, right? So if every account belongs to some customer, in that case, we can say that there is a relation between the customer table and the account table. So every row in account table is related to some customer in the customer table, right? So the customer ID is also put here. And as you know, the customer ID is the primary key in the customer table, right? But since the customer table and the account tables are related, right? We also have to put the customer ID in the account table as well. So you can see this silver color key. This is the foreign key. That means this is a primary key from another table. So a foreign key is a primary key from another table, which is stored so that's why we are saying like a foreign key is a primary key value from table A. For our case, our foreign key was the customer ID. So it was a primary key value from the table customers stored in the related tables accounts. Okay, so there goes the customer table or primary key and the foreign key, the concept. Okay, so I know that you already knew this. Already you also have done your design, but we are just talking to build up a context today. So as we said, in our example, we showed you that we created a database. we created a database, banking database, we created customers table, accounts table, and transactions table, right? And these three tables are actually related in the sense that every account is associated with a customer, right? And every transaction is associated with accounts and the customer. Okay, so this is important. So how do we define the relationship in the database? So the relationship can be one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many. So let's talk about a one-to-one relationship. Well, a one-to-one relationship might be, okay, so how do you say, like, suppose if we have a customer, if I have a customer, and then we have this account, these two table, right? What is the relationship between the customer and the table? Is it a one-to-one? Like, it's one-to-one if a customer can have only one account, but that's not true, right? A customer can have like multiple accounts, right? So it might be have account 1, account 2, account 3. So can we say that the customer and the account, the relationship between the customer and the account is one to many? Yes, obviously we can say that, right? Okay, so can you think of an example where the relationship is one-to-one?
Like every person will have one student ID.
Yeah, but okay, let's think about a say table perspective. Suppose we have a customer, okay? So can we say that can we think of another table which has a one-to-one relationship? So can we think like suppose we are making it up. Suppose if we have a say
Maybe a person will have serial numbers like
which have
yeah,
their unique IDs.
yes, unique ID. So we can say like social security number, right?
Yeah, the unique always defines a one-to-one relationship.
Yes, yes. So suppose we have a table for social security number, just a table, and then we have a table for customer, right? If we want to make a relationship between these two tables, then the relationship would be one-to-one, right? Yes. Okay, and then there can be like many-to-many relationship where, but we will try to, this is always recommended, like avoiding many-to-many relationship and breaking it down. We'll talk about it later. But we learned about the relationship. Okay, now let's talk about we will try to create a, as we said, we will try to create a message board or a database, message board or a forum. Let's think about so this is think about a very primary design for creating a message board or a forum. You can think it as let's say this is like a Facebook. We can think it as Facebook. So what do we have? First, we have the users. Suppose when you are using Facebook, everyone is a user in Facebook, right? So suppose we want to design a mini Facebook. So we'll need a table for storing the information about the users. Next thing is threads. Okay, so how can we define threads? So you can think thread is we post status on Facebook, right? So every post, can we say that every post is a thread? Every status message is a thread. Can we say that? We can say that, right?
No,
Yeah, go ahead, tell me.
we cannot say every post will be a thread.
Every So suppose my status message can be a thread. Can it be a thread or not? It can be a thread because you see, by thread, usually we mean in a social media, we mean that something which can be expanded, right? So if you post a status message, people can comment on it, right? So there can be many comments. So basically, it's not like separate comments. Everything is now under, we can say that your status is one thread. Inside your thread, the people are making different comments, right? So the discussion topic is like on the same thing. So you have created a status message where you started a discussion and people are discussing there. Now, can we think it as a thread? Yes, right? Anyone? So this can be my
Yes.
status, right? Okay. Now post. Post is like, you can think any comment or even the status message. Any comment, any status message can qualify as a post, right? Can we say that? Now let's see what is the relationship between these. So for user, how many status message he can create? One, or he can create like as many as possible, as he wants.
Many.
Many, right? So that's why if I
Yeah.
go back to this slide, one-to-many relationship is defined by this, right? You see this symbol. So this is one-to-many. So you can see that between a user and this is one-to-many, right? The relationship between a thread and a user is one-to-many. A user can post multiple status, create multiple status message, or he can just say he can create multiple threads, right? Synonymous. So that's why you see this thing. This is one-to-many relationship symbol, right? So the relationship between a user and a thread is going to be one-to-many, right? Okay, next is so when a user is actually creating a thread, suppose this is the whole status message he is creating, right? So this is the user, suppose user one, his profile picture will be shown here. Then he will write something here, right? This is his status message. Below there, people will start creating comments. So this is comment one, this is comment two, right? This is comment three, etc. So this whole thing, you can say that this whole thing is the thread. Now these ones are the posts. You can think this is a post, this is a post, this is a post. Even his text, the text that he posted, that is also a post, right? So a thread can have, so how many posts a thread can have? Just if we think from the Facebook perspective, how many posts can be there in a thread? Many, right?
Many.
Yes. So one thread can have many posts, right? Okay, so is it clear now? What is the relationship between the thread and the post? Yes. Okay. Next thing is every post is also posted by someone, right? By some user. So this post is suppose by user one itself. You see, this one is by user two. This comment is by user three. This comment is for user four. So can we say that every post has also a relationship with the user? Can we say that? Right? Is everyone muted?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the relationship between a user and post? Is it like a user just can post one post, or he can post as
One.
many?
Multiple.
It's one user, many posts, one to many.
Yes, yes. So one user can create many posts, right? So that is
Yes.
also a one-to-many relationship between user and the post, right?
Posts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so next, let's talk about language. So let's look at a Facebook example. I think that would be helpful. Okay, so you can see my screen, right? Can you see my screen? Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
please.
so I'm going to Facebook. So as you see, I can, if I go to Facebook, I'm seeing everything in what language? I'm seeing everything in English, right? Okay, now I can change the language of the forum or Facebook to a different language. How do I do that? So let's see. I have different languages here. Okay, so let's change it to another language. Let's make it anything we want. So because I can read Bangla, then let's make it to Bangla. Okay, now you see, now everything has changed to Bengali or Bangla, and you see like this one was like login here. Have you forgotten your password? Create new account. Those things have been replaced by a different set of words, right? Or if I change to say Arabic, now it's a it's a different set of word. It's the same thing. So you can say, okay, what was English? Yeah, so it was the same thing. It says login. Once I change it to Arabic, this word, this one also means Arabic. So something tasjil al dukhul. So enter here, right? So basically the only things that are changing is the set of words here. Okay. Okay, so once we are creating, suppose we say like we are creating a mini Facebook. So can we say that language can be another? So we want to store all this information. So language can be a table, right? Language can be a table, and words is another table, because you see all these words change to a different set of words if I change the what can I say, change the language. Now tell me, what is the relationship between the language and these words? Every word belongs to one language, right? The same word doesn't belong to two languages, right?
Yes.
Yes. And the second thing is, we are actually not in the words table. Suppose Facebook, they are not storing like all the words in the language. So just to show this page, does Facebook need to store the comprehensive list of Arabic words? No, right? They just need these words like enter here or forgot your password, or just these words, these few words they need, right, to create this page. Is it right or not? Right? Okay. Even if you log into the Facebook, even if it's in Arabic language, it just shows you the menus in Arabic, right? So everything is defined. If you are writing something that's not Facebook's concern, you can write any Arabic, but is Facebook's list of Arabic words limited? Yes, right? Because when Facebook is designing, they're showing just a list of words, a list of predefined words, right? Is it clear to you? Anyone has any question? Okay, so what I'm saying is, suppose there are like 100 Arabic words here. Those 100 words are enough to create this page. Similarly, suppose Facebook in all have like 500 words, say they have only 500 words. And to create an Arabic Facebook, to show every menu item in Arabic, they need only these 500 words. That's all, right? Okay, so can we say that these list, let's go. So the relationship between the language and words is 1-to-1. That means every language in my mini Facebook will have a specific set of words, right? A specific set of words. So that means every language has one list of words, and every word is related to one language. So the relationship here is 1-to-1. Is it clear? Okay, anyone has any question? Okay, so I hope until this part, this is clear. Now let's do this thing. Let's try to create our mini forum, Facebook forum. So we have opened this. Okay, so let's go to, I already had shared this script. Did I share this script with you? I think I did, right? At some point. Even if I didn't do, I'm going to share today again. So I already have, we have these queries, SQL queries to create a forum. I'm closing this. Okay. Okay. So what we are creating here is we are creating a database. We name it forum2, and then we are creating a table for languages, if a table for threads, a table for posts, and users. Okay, and words. So words is the set of words to change the forum to that language. Okay, so we create them all. Let's refresh. Okay, now we have these we have the database ready to create a forum. Now let's also insert some information into, like, create some rows into them. So I also have these predefined queries. Let's go to SQL. Okay, so let's see what we are entering, or like we are putting in the database. First, we are inserting values into the language table. So the language name and the name in English, that are the two columns that we have. So this is a language name and the name in English. So this is Japanese, Netherlands. In English, we call it Dutch. Okay, so we'll be putting those. So we will be putting like 10 language names in the language table. In the users, we are just creating some users. So by default, what should happen is, like, if someone just registers, he should create a username, password, email, but we are just creating some dummy accounts with a dummy username, no password, and some email, just made up emails, and also like the time zone. Okay, and also the language ID. When they are actually creating their account, they will be creating their account in a specific type of Facebook. The reason I need the language ID, let me know, like, do you understand why someone who is creating an account also needs to specify the language? Can someone answer me this, why he needs to specify the language? So when someone is logging into the Facebook, right, my mini Facebook, he wants the menu items to be seen in a specific language, right? That's why we are putting this language against the users, so that he can see the forum in that particular language. Okay, and this means that only the menu items you can see in menu items and everything interface you will see in that language, but that doesn't restrict you that you cannot post in another language. That's your matter. But from Facebook side, Facebook is going to show you something. So Facebook needs to know which language you want the menu items and other things to be shown, right? Okay, so that's why we have this language ID. So basically, this language table will have some relationship with the users. Okay, next is okay, next is insert into words. Okay, now you see that we have against for each language, we are actually putting a set of words, adding a set of words. Suppose for English, we are saying like this is one word, PHP and MySQL dynamic websites, right? This is the second word or second set of word, home, right? This is for one language, where the language ID is 1. For language ID 4, instead of like home, we have this thing, right? Which language is this? I don't know. German? Probably. Okay, and then we have, instead of suppose forum home, we have this word, right? Similarly, for the third language, language ID 5, we have the same. So these are the same words in different languages. I'm creating a different set of words and putting them. So basically, each language has just one set of words. That's why we said like it's a one-to-one relationship. Each language has just one set of words, right? Okay. So we are putting those. This is for Japanese. So they same thing. This is any of these will represent home. Another one is forum. Okay, so log in, log out. These are like probably this. Okay, new thread. This is new thread actually. Okay. Okay, so there goes the set of words, and then inside the threads, I'm actually creating some dummy threads. Okay, dummy threads. We said like the threads are probably, we can think them as status. And then we are also creating some posts. Okay, so post can be any status message or comment. So let's create those. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, I have to select my database. So I have to do everything here. Okay, so everything is now added. Now let's go and check how these looks like. Okay, so this is the language table. As you see, the language ID was generated. This is the primary key, and this was auto increment. So once we added English, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 10. So this is the primary key. And then we have these posts, user, thread. These are the words. Anyways, we just put some dummy information there, and already we have our PHP module ready. So if we just connect the PHP module to this database, we should be able to see the skeleton of our forum. So let's do this. For that, let's open Eclipse. So my workspace, I'm putting it in XAMPP htdocs. Okay, so let's make a new project. Let's name it, say, forum or message board. Okay, so I'm not going to code everything since we have like we can use our existing example. So this is from chapter 17. I'm taking it from chapter 17. Let's copy everything into our project, which is XAMPP htdocs was my workspace, and you see message board. This is created. I paste it here. Let's go to Eclipse. Let's refresh this. Okay, now you see my those files. Now let's make some changes to the connection script. So yeah, so here you see in one of the previous lectures I showed you how to change the password, right? So I haven't changed the password yet, so there is no password. But if you have changed the password to your database, you have to put that password here. Okay, and you see already I have recorded it, so it's going to connect to the forum2 database, right? Okay, so I'm saving it. Let's try to open this localhost, and it will be in message board, right? Yeah, now you see on the connection script as well as this. Okay, so now you can see the mini site that we created. Okay, so the site home, forum home, there is a sample thread here. I can create new thread. Logout doesn't work yet, but the languages, so you can see the list of languages here. So how this is coming, like this is coming because I am reading these things from the database and populating it here, and then how this thread is being shown. This is also, as I told you, right? We had created some dummy threads, right? We had created some dummy threads. So if I go to threads, and one of these threads are actually being shown there. So which one was being shown there? So it was sample thread. Let's open this. Okay, so the sample threads were being shown there. The reason was, although we have put multiple dummy threads here, the language ID one so English has only one thread. So our language here is English. That's why we just see the English thread, just one thread. If I change it to say French, then we see another two. Let's go back to our database. So French, I don't know which language ID French was. So let's say French was 3, language ID 3. So again, it's language ID 3. You see, we had created 2 threads, this thread and this thread. Okay. Okay. So once we selected French, we are seeing these 2 threads. Now, let's change back to English so that we can create new threads. Say new thread, say final class. And today is the final class. So two things here. First, we are creating a new thread, and then we are actually posting something as well. So this should create a post as well. So it should create a new thread as well as a new post. So once I click on submit, let's see if my database reflects that. So how can I refresh? Can I refresh like? Oh, I can refresh here. Okay. So you see a new thread was created, right? Final class. Now let's go and see if there was a post as well. So yeah, so a post was also created. So we created a thread as well as a post. So if I go back here, if I go to forum home, let's go to the sample thread. That one also had a comment, right? This is the body of the sample thread, right? So I can post another one. Second comment. So I'm posting on the same thread. So now this one has 2 replies. Like, so if I go back to the database and let's go to the post. So you see that this thread ID was 7, right? This one this was the initial post for the thread. And then this one was the other post, other comment. And then I made this post again. So this one now has 3 posts, right? Okay. So thread ID 7 has 3 posts. Okay. Yeah. So, and then what about the words? So as you see, if I go here, language, logout, home, right? So this is the set of the words that are coming for English. So you see all these words were listed here: language, forum, home, right? Posted by, replies. These are the set of words that are needed to show you the, but if I change it to say French, now, yeah, so these things are now being changed to this set of words, right? So you see these set of words are actually being shown here. Okay, so if I change it to Netherlands, Dutch language. Okay, so if I change there, it's not changing the words. Let's see why that is not happening. The reason for that is, okay, so let's go to the language. So Dutch language has the language ID of 10. If I go to the words, language ID 10. So for language ID 10, I didn't actually post any dummy list of words. So it doesn't have any list of words. So it's still showing the English, the default one. Okay. And yeah, so if I change to say French again, and if I want to create let's comment on this one of the threads. So I am commenting in English. That is fine. Even if I go to the French Facebook, it's fine. I am free to comment or write in any language, right? Facebook doesn't restrict me. The only thing changes is Facebook shows all the menu items in French, but I'm free to write anything I want, okay, in any language. Okay, so there goes the comment. So if I open this, now this one has 2 comments, right? Okay, so how all of these are happening? So basically, these files, you have to go through these files like forum.php, and then index. So making a new post, right? How a new post is being posted here, everything. Like, I'm not going into the details. I suggest you to go to a textbook and check these files to see how actually this whole thing is, like how this site was built and how this is connected to the database, how we're creating a new thread and a new post. Okay. So a very simple example of how using PHP and MySQL, I can start creating like bigger things, like creating a message board. Okay. So there goes our short discussion about this. So we discussed about the relationship between the tables. And then from there, we created some kind of a schema, we designed a database. We can say this is a database design to create a mini Facebook. And based on this design, after that, we have these PHP, using PHP, we created the interface, we connected to the database, and then we started creating users post. But for the ease of showing you, I had some, I actually had added some dummy. So some post threads were already, I added them to the database. But in a real world situation, actually all these threads and users and everything will be empty at the beginning. But maybe the words won't be empty, because since you are creating the forum yourself, you should define different languages and the interface. But whatever is dynamic is these users, posts and threads. These are dynamic things, and these will be like updated into database based on people's interaction. But for your side, from the developer side, the developer has to specify the languages and the set of words.